Dun 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 dun. Hello everyone, you see me? Is this working? Hello, hello? I don't see anyone in the chat quite yet. We lost a couple people. They didn't want to. They're like, I just want to see the loading screen. Hey! Hi guys, all these people in the chat, hello! Welcome back to Modelland! How long is this book? Too damn long! It's 569 pages, I believe. Yeah, 569. We are about halfway, not even, through the book. We are on 264, so we have about 300 pages left. Hi guys. I felt like the last time I did one of these streams, I was kind of in I was in a crabby mood. I'm sorry about that, guys. So let's just kind of shake that off and have some good vibes today. I got my Halloween decorations out mid-September. Basically, the beginning of September it's Halloween time for me. I don't know about you guys. Halloween needs to happen even faster this year. For me, it's a big comfort thing. Need some spooky times. Thank you, Samir. Alright, so, I have watched back some of these streams while I'm editing together the big project at the end with it. So I've reminded myself of some of the things that have happened and some of the voices, but I've forgotten everything all over again. So, am I sitting on a Union flag? No? Oh, it's a Halloween sweater. But got some pumpkins. It's for old ladies and me. I got it at a rag stock one time and I love it. So as the weather gets colder, the more jackets accumulate on my chair. Okay, so what's happened in the book so far? I'm not going to remember a third of what's gone on. Oh, thank you for the compliment on the dress and the sweater. Oh, you guys are so nice. Tuki de la Creme, which is Tyra Banks' self-insert 16-year-old, 15-year-old self, somewhere in that range. She lives in a post-apocalyptic dystopian future that centers around fashion and stuff. Everyone wants to go to Modelland, which is like this Mount Olympus thing with a bunch of super-powered models, I guess, and there's a big head called the Belladonna there. And she finds the golden ticket, the Willy Wonka golden ticket, which is a golden smize in the sink, and then she gets chosen to go to Modelland. There's also a button that she chased in the garbage, and her dad impaled his eye accidentally by bowing into it, because he's an acrobat. And then there's a guy that she's got a crush on. I got a super chat and I'll finish this. Oh, thank you for this generous super chat from P.S. Connors. Pisconers? Thanks for this. I needed it. Love your content, especially Mitch barking. Thank you. It's not weird. Another one you can credit to an in-joke with Phelan. Okay, so what happened after that? So Tuki does a walk, or she doesn't do a walk, even though they said you're supposed to do a walk. They go to do a walk, her sister's doing a walk, her family's crappy and abusive, she's got a best friend who lives in a tree, and then they do the model walk, and then Tyra gets chosen, travels via sack, to meet all of her friends for chapters upon chapters upon chapters. It goes on forever. There's a candle-based land called Candelabra. Goes to Modelland. There's a weird guy with a hand for a head. She's got all her friends, one of which is an albino princess or something. One's a funny foreign chick. One's the plus-size sassy chick. They go there to Modelland, and it takes forever to actually get in there. And then when they do, they travel via zipper things, zip zaps, zip bap baps, and then they start taking some classes, and they're all terrible. One of which, like, some of them, it kind of makes sense. Like, it's like, oh, they got to learn how to make faces, and then, you know, model poses. And then one of them, it's horrific and makes them all look ugly and fall apart and scares some of them off. And then they had one that didn't make any sense. It's called mastication, and it was a food thing. Yeah, they're all just eating, and there was an Australian person there that just adds roux to random things. Like, what in the roux? With all roux respect, I believe was said at one point. There's also a brother academy, sister academy for male models called Bestosterone. And the boys from Bestosterone work as slaves and accessories to them, I guess. Yes, the food thing. The food thing was the most recent thing. I think I've covered mostly. Oh, she's got a rival who's her Draco Malfoy, who is Zarpessa, and she's secretly poor, and she's mad that Tukey knows that. With all due respect. Okay. The didgeridoo dialect. Yeah, oh fuck. That's like didgeridoo is the name of the country, or didgeridoo something. Ugh. Alright, so let's get to the next chapter. Chapter 22, Fused Flashback Females. Lots of body horror. I feel like this is gonna lead into more body horror stuff. Alright, Bravo. This is one of the male models. Once again, I'm gonna not remember any of these voices. Bravo's gaze remained fixed on Tukey. Tukey stood back, utterly confused as to why he was looking at her and only her. The girls around her, including Dylan and Kamalani, seemed just as perplexed. Zarpessa let out a horse-like snort. Mee! Come on, everyone, don't you get it? He's staring at her because he's never seen someone with such an enormous head. My neighbor's vacuuming. Bravo reached up and made a wiping gesture across his nose. On instinct, Tukey touched her nose too. To her horror, a trail of creamy pea-green slime appeared on her fingers. She'd been staring out the window with a giant whipped cream booger on her face. Ooh! She didn't know whether to run, to find a tissue, or a bush to hide behind. Which one is Persimmon now? I think that one I gave a country voice. The girl... Can someone explain why you're pressing your nasty hands against our windows? The girls turned to see a Persimmon standing in the doorway. Get in a single file line, she demanded. Now! The Bellas ran to obey. Where are we going? Chase called out as Persimmon spun around and marched into a dark, narrow hallway. In the distance, it was a bright flickering light. I was just about to flash my... I don't want to read this line. I don't want to read this line. I don't want... In a line, in a book with many terrible lines, I think this might be the worst so far. Alright. I was just about to flash my breastosteros. Why? Why is Tyra Banks like this? Did we even mention in the stream that she's decided she's gonna rebrand herself as Banks, Banx, Banks? That ain't happening. Alright, Banks. Breastosteros. You need to get that filthy mouth of yours cleaned up, Persimmon said in a disgusted voice. Ugh. X-rated. The fluttering light at the end of the hallway. Oh yeah, they have like lights that shine on them in the middle of the night and they're supposed to sleep through that? Like everyone's got their own custom magic light? Weird. The fluttering light at the end of the hallway expanded into an immense glowing circle. A mannequin stood at a reception desk shaped like the letters H, O, and A. The letters moved around in a disorganized jumble, probably making it hard to set anything on the surface. There was a great round room behind the desk, its walls covered in a furry-looking fabric and its ceiling gently pulsing up and down as if breathing. I know where we are, Zarpessa boasted. The ooh-ah! A breathy voice from high above whispered, ooh-ah, with great satisfaction. The letters of the desk moved to spell ooh-ah. The smell of blood oranges wafted through the air. Yes, lest we forget that blood oranges is Tyra's favorite scent. This is the place where Seasoned Bellas go to have their aching joints soothed after their intense 7-7 tournament training, Zarpessa told them self-importantly while staring at herself in the mirror behind the reception desk. It's also where instructors and visiting Intoxibellas go to be primed and primed. We have one of these attached to my bedroom at home, you know. But it would be so much more fun to experience this with all of you. Tukey and Dylan both rolled their eyes. Yeah, right, Tukey mouthed. 6 blank-eyed mannequins appeared from invisible doors, towels in their hands. Persimmon turned to the Bellas. You will break up into groups of 3 girls. Each group will be led by its own mannequin. And the rules are, well, enjoy yourselves. That's it. She seemed very pained to issue such a command. Enjoy yourselves. That's it. A mannequin waved an ornate hand mirror over the group. Instantly, light in one of 6 colors fell onto the girls. 3 Bellas glowed burgundy, making them a group. Zarpessa, Chaste, and Bibiana were color-coded fire engine red. Tukey, Dylan, and Kamalani, the last girls in line, glowed canary yellow. The mannequins' plastic bodies shimmered with the colors that matched their group. A yellow glowing mannequin approached Tukey, Dylan, and Kamalani. Follow, please follow, she said in a barely perceptible monotone. The yellow mannequin walked them briskly down one of the many paths that split off from the round room. The other groups of girls went down different hallways. Tukey let her hand drag along the soft white wall. Cashmere, she whispered. Creamy had a suit made of the stuff a few years ago. Of course, only a month or so later, she discarded it, deeming it past its prime. Thinking of Creamy, Tukey got a pang. What is she doing right now? Does she miss me at all? Why does she care about her shitty mom? She was cursing her existence when last time that she left. When she was flying away in the pouch. Breastosteros. What kind of place has cashmere on its walls? Dylan whispered. Kamalani nodded. I remember now. I gave her a different voice, but I remember now it was the summer voice.
I know, it's ridiculous. Shameful, even.
The mannequin led Tukey, Dylan, and Kamalani into an expansive rectangular room with a metal floor and walls. Rows and rows of polished stone slabs filled the room, dozens of Bellas lying atop them. Tukey recognized some of the girls from Mastication, but there were others there she had never seen. All the girls were completely nude except for Tukey, Kamalani, and Dylan. The ooh-ah will remove your soiled clothing, shoes, and underwear, the yellow mannequin informed them. Dylan stopped short, looking warily at the other girls in the room. Is there a private area I can use to change? I don't want all these chicks looking at my booty.
I too feel quite uncomfortable with the idea of getting disrobed while so many look on,
Kamalani seconded. Natural dialogue. Tukey didn't want to get naked around all these people either. Why are we doing a naked chapter? Why?
Lie down on the last 3 slabs there,
the mannequin instructed flatly, pointing. Oh my gosh, they're gonna get probed. The girls hesitantly obeyed. Dozens of hands came up from under the slabs and removed their clothes. These are underage girls. Look, she wanted this to be a movie. I have to keep reminding people this, but how would you wouldn't film any of this. You couldn't film any of this. They said that the Watchmen was unfilmable. This is unfilmable. Watchmen ain't got shit on this. The hands were just like those that dressed Tukey in the THBC bubble and CL at Runaway. Tukey covered her private parts with her own hands. Kamalani did the same. Tukey felt cold, vulnerable, and certain everyone was staring at her, so she fixed her gaze on the ceiling instead. First okay, I didn't cover this, the fact that they gave them periods and stole them away. They gave them periods and stole them away. And now they're getting them naked? What is this constant violation going on here? What is going on? Someone had written something on the tiles in black pen. Gina has 2 secrets. 1, she hates CL. 2, it rhymes with destroy. I bet Tyra thinks this is a clever mystery. Another super chat from Samir Sela. I'm pretty sure the contestants on ANTM got probed too. Yeah, some questionable things. Can you imagine if they did something like this on Top Model, though? Can you imagine? Thank you, Samir, if I didn't say. Can you imagine if they just undressed them without their consent and took their periods away? What's that about? How far were they into ANTM? It was... she wrote this... She said she was working on this for 5 years, and she released the book around it was in the All-Star season. So... whatever season that was. Next, a strong cushion of air pushed the girls above the stone slabs that they hovered over their tables. Warm water spewed down from openings above them. They're just getting showers. They're getting cleansed with the sanitizing solution and sprayed at the prison. Water rushed up at them as well, seemingly gushing from the surface of the stone. The bidet. The water changed from soapy to dingy to soapy to clear, finally becoming a citrusy orangish spray. Tukey closed her eyes, trying to relax and not fret about her exposed, awkward body. Ooh, Dylan said beside her. Ah, Kamalani said, and they all giggled. Somebody said it in the chat, I need an adult. I need an adult. The yellow mannequin gave the girls what looked like green strapless terry cloth mini dresses with asymmetrical hems. The little towel frocks read ooh on the front and ah on the back. I get it. We get it.
Put these on, please. We will care for your Bella uniforms and return them to you cleaned and pressed.
The girls put on the towel dresses, and then the mannequin led them on a tour of the ooh-ah. The place was a labyrinth of narrow hallways decorated with silks, fine chenelles, and more cashmere walls. Lanterns glowed from every alcove, incandescent butterflies providing the light. The scent of blood oranges hung heavily in the air, and the girls felt soft sand underfoot. Down some hallways they saw elaborate makeup stations and steaming baths. In one, an upper-class Bella sat in a pedicure chair and commanded, "Environment, tropical island with pink sand and turquoise waves!" Suddenly the fabric on the walls melted away, revealing an idyllic sand setting, complete with a shining sun, warm breezes, rose-colored sand, and an ocean so blue it looked like a swimming pool. Tukey, Dylan, and Kamalani gasped.
"This is a special feature of the ooh-ah," the mannequin told them. "One can change her surroundings to whatever she likes. Try it." "Please, madam, environment, home," Kamalani asked politely.
The walls started to reflect an immense room.
Oops, never mind, madam,
Kamalani said hurriedly. The room immediately turned back to its spa atmosphere. Tukey bravely stepped forward next. Environment inside a whipped cream factory with beach waves crashing outside the window. You know, Tyra sticks with some themes, with some ideas. In an instant, the room transformed into an enormous space with walls and floors made of cream. Okay, is whipped cream factories, do they always look like... Because it would be hilarious if it just was like an industrial factory or something that like... that had a bunch of workers, it was not glamorous, and just made whipped cream. Machines surrounding the area churned out endless types of flavors, light and heavy, caramel and coffee. There was a 5 stories tall picture window with a perfect view of the sea's surf-worthy waves. Tukey smiled shakily. She wished Lizzie could see this. "Exodus," she whispered. "Exodus."
All right now,
the yellow mannequin said, grabbing Tukey's arm and moving down another hall.
We must keep going.
They walked down a long corridor full of treatment rooms. Bella's murmured with pleasure. This is going to be the whole chapter, by the way. It's just going to be descriptions of this. We know how this goes. Bella's murmured with pleasure, but when Tukey looked in one room, Bella was lying on her stomach with an enormous boulder crushing her spine.
The latest in hot stone treatments, years before civilians will hear about it,
the mannequin explained. Civilians. Another super chat from Eugene. Thank you, in general. Oh, thank you. In another treatment room, a mannequin was peeling a layer of skin off of Bella's face. The skin came off in a perfect mask, pigment, pores and all, and then the mannequin pressed up against a plastic molded head. The mask opened its eyes and smiled. This is like Suspiria or some shit.
Facial slough,
the yellow mannequin guiding the girl said, and in yet another room, Bella, you can't just skim over that. You can't just be like, anyway. Smized, you're right, Samir. Another super chat from Sam for Metroid. So funny you're doing one of these. I just finished binging all of your other Modelland streams. Love all your work. You are one of my favorite YouTubers. Oh, thank you. What a nice thing to say. And in yet another room, Bella stepped inside a giant clam shell. The clam's valves snapped shut rapidly, trapping the Bella inside. "Let me guess," Dylan said. "Body wrap?"
Body snap,
the mannequin said.
But close enough.
Shut up. They walked in the next room, a giant space that had a large circle painted in the middle of the floor. 3 women dressed in ornately patterned flowing muumuus sat very close together in the corner. Their hair was fused into one huge beehive. So Tyra just thought if every chapter was just a new class or describing a building or a room or whatever, like that would make up a whole 569-page book. You don't have to actually have a plot happening. You just describe, like, going to places and things happen, like going into rooms and they're all made of stupid stuff or smell and dumb, and then the girls go and then leave. They walked into the next room, a giant space at a large circle painted in the middle of the floor. Okay, the muumuus. Dylan whispered, "I wonder if their actual heads are connected." Their eyes were closed and their beehive hairdo turned in slow, meditative circles. They seemed unaware of anything around them.
Flashback females,
the mannequin whispered reverently.
They have the ability to take a person to a time in her life that has already happened. You cannot change the past, only witness it. Most Bellas find it very therapeutic. You can take your friends with you into your flashback and they will see and hear everything that happened also. But if one of you wants to do it, your whole group must follow. The doors seal once someone has stepped into the circle, trapping everyone inside. No exceptions.
Oh, so at least they're letting them know about the horror ahead of time. Dylan looked excitedly at the others. "Should we do it?" Tukey shifted from one foot to the other. She couldn't think of a single thing she wanted to relive. I'm not letting you chicken out, girl, Dylan exclaimed, looking at Tukey. If you don't go, Kamalani and I can't do it. You want to do it too, right, Kamalani? Kamalani pulled in her bottom lip. Come on, Kamalani, you win, Dylan pressed. Dylan's the worst.
Well, okay,
Kamalani said hesitantly.
But if you can see the flashback I want to see, I have to prepare you. I am ashamed of my house. Please understand.
Why'd she say she wanted to see home then? She said she wants attention. Like she's like, oh, I don't want you to know about my house, and then like show my house. Oops, I didn't mean to say that. Slip of the tongue. Another super chat from Kasara Leak. Came across your channel from your Charmed reviews and have stayed since then. Your content has always been great. Stay awesome, Allison. Oh, thank you. The power of 3 set me free. Dylan chuckled. Who are we to judge if your family's hit a rough patch? I live in a store. Now, what about you, Tukey? Okay, she said, instantly regretting it.
Which of you would like to go first?
The mannequin asked.
I guess I will,
Kamalani volunteered.
so I can get it over with quickly.
She walked farther into the room. One of the flashback females stood, approached Kamalani, and led her to the circle. As soon as Kamalani crossed its yellow boundaries, the iron and concrete floor doors in the room banged shut, making Tukey flinch. Kamalani stood very still. She nodded as if answering questions, though the flashback female hadn't said a word. It is so, the female said. Does a flashback female sound like, it is so, the female said. It felt like Tukey's feet were melting into the ground. The sinking feeling crept up to her knees, her hips, her waist, her torso, her shoulders, then her neck. For a moment, all of her senses were muffled, but then they snapped into precise clarity. She blinked slowly and opened her eyes. She's that reaction gif of that guy from that stream, just... Tukey, Dylan, and Kamalani now stood at a window overlooking an immense patchwork of dilapidated shacks. Smoke rose from many of the shanties. Beautiful cocoa, maple, and copper-skinned children dressed in bright fabrics ran about. Cocoa, maple, and copper-skinned children. A younger Kamalani, sans headbanger, climbed out the very window. Oh, okay, so we're in Chakra, right. Climbed out the very window at which the girls were standing and dropped to the ground. Chakra, by the way, is India? She ran toward the middle of the shanty town and stopped at a group of about 24 people of varying ages. Their clothes might have been tattered and drab, but as soon as they saw Kamalani, their smiles were brighter than the most luxurious silks. Kamalani, where are we? Tukey whispered.
We are standing in my bedroom, but before you look, brace yourselves.
Everyone turned and gasped. A giant 4-poster bed stood in the corner, surrounded by jeweled chandeliers and ornate crystal lamps. Plush velvet and bright leather furniture filled the rest of the space. The ceiling was adorned with intricately carved wood and white marble. Cashmere covered the walls. You lived here? Dylan's eyes goggled. What in the heck is there to be ashamed of? Are you crazy? Man, this was such a twist that she was actually rich. Couldn't see that coming. Another super chat from Riff Chick. Any interest in reading The Bitch, the Wig, etc.? Thank you. Yeah, I might read it. I'm very curious about J. Manuel's book with the evil Tyra Banks. It sounds juicy.
I enjoyed and appreciated living here, but I felt tormented too.
Kamalani pointed to the window.
Right outside are so many people with so much less. And that big group of people the young me is greeting right now, they are the Pondy family.
This is Tyra Banks. Like she's like, I look out from my castle and I feel bad for all of the poor. Dylan stared at all the people young Kamalani was with. Whoa, I thought me having 4 sisses and bros was a big fan, but people in Chakra got bigger ones than mine.
They are extended family as well,
Kamalani explained.
aunts, cousins, great-grandparents, but their living conditions are so unfortunate. I used to sneak them unused items, clothes, school books, healthy food, and vitamins. I secretly convinced one of the grips on my mother's films to run plumbing and electricity lines from our house to their tiny home, too. My family has so much, it felt like a sin to not share.
Oh, right, because her mom's a Bollywood star. And also, that's why she's addicted to music like a drug or something. The young Kamalani in the flashback approached the Pandey family and grabbed the hands of a sweet-faced child.
This is Maya, my favorite.
Oh, she has a favorite extended family poor person she hangs out with, little orphan. I guess it's her family. Kamalani said to Tuki,
She is 8 years old. Guess what?
Young Kamalani cried to the family.
I actually secured parts for all of you in my mother's next film. And I did not mean a few rupees worth of background work. I mean bona fide speaking parts, real paychecks.
The family looked gratefully at one another. Some began to sob, but it was happy sobbing, their eyes alight with joy.
But the scene does not shoot here in Chakra,
Kamalani went on.
It is the scene that leads up to the grand dance number, and it shoots in Cappuccina and Très Jolie.
Their surroundings abruptly shifted to the famous main canal in Cappuccina. Movie's cameras focused on the Pandey family, who recited their lines with the greatest of ease and grace. They recited their lines with the greatest of ease. The Pandey family, eating some peas. I lost it. Then the scene whooshed again, this time to a film location in Très Jolie. In the shadow of the metropolis's famous sculptural tower, young Kamalani burst onto set.
Bonjour, Ma, she called out. I will be your assistant director today. Where should the Pandey family stand in this scene?
Another super chat from Zero Gravy. I like your name. I would pay to see a Bollywood Modelland movie. Oh, me too. Thank you. Oh, and another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. What have I missed? Why is everyone see the flashback? I'm ridiculously confused. Yeah, I don't know. They're in some stupid thing where they could see flashbacks in the spa or something with flashback girls, and everyone has to see it or it doesn't work. I don't know. Oh, another super chat. They just keep coming. Thanks, guys. From Sam4 Metroid again. Also would have sent one earlier, but apparently you can't do these on the phone, so I had to load my laptop. Oh, I got one from you earlier. Also, I die from laughter when you do the Piper voice for the character. It fits so well, lol. Thank you. Kamalani's mother, a tall, striking chakra woman with huge, soulful eyes, a curvy body, and vermilion in her hair, turned and smiled. I don't want to come up with another voice. Betty, did I tell you how proud of you I am? Her mother said to young Kamalani. It's just, she's not going to be a big character in this. Rubbing her daughter's head. We are shooting the big thunderstorm scene today. Make sure they have the appropriate props. Kamalani guided the Pandey family to the base of a backdrop depicting a brilliant blue sky. As everyone took their places, Kamalani's mother yelled, "Action!" The rain machine sprayed the set with water. The cameras began to roll. The thunder sound effect boomed. The Pandeys performed well, even with faux rain drenching them. Young Kamalani grinned with pride. Betty, get ready to cue the dancers. Betty, I don't know this word. B-E-T-I. I'm assuming it's an Indian word. Kamalani's mother shouted to her. Just as Maya, the youngest Pandey, was about to say the last line of the scene, another ear-splitting sound thundered above. The heavy sky-blue backdrop tipped and plummeted to the ground. Oh my god, is there going to be another terrible accident? Everyone screamed and scattered, but for some it was too late. Thick white dust poured all around like smoke. Tuki waved her hand in front of her face, trying to see. Suddenly a keening cry ran out. Maya crawled out from under the rubble, blood streaming down her forehead, again with the violence every time. Ma papa! Nani! Tuki's heart stopped. She had a sinking feeling about what had just happened. Oh, they were crushed under a house like the Wicked Witch. Next to her, present-day Kamalani let out a tortured whimper. "Oh no!" she cried. "No!" She ran to the rubble and tried to move the bricks away to rescue the other family members, but her fingers just swished through the scene, useless. Suddenly, the flashback female's calm voice ran out through the room. "It's time to go now." Why did she, so, like, did they get to choose the flashback, or is it just they're like, I'm gonna pick your most horrific? Yeah, Hatman. My baby! My Gabby! Where's my Gabby? People listening to the Freddy Fish and Putt Putt streams will get that one. Okay. The film set receded and the girls were in the ooh-ah again. Kamalani crumpled to the floor in tears.
"They all perished that day because of me!"
I'm glad I picked the summer voice for this because she's so traumatized. She killed her entire extended family because she invited them onto a set that collapsed on top of them. It's almost as bad as bowing into a sword. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. "Oh dear God, why, oh Tyra, why?" Thank you. You and me both. Oh, is that why she got she fell into addicted to the headbanger headphones? Because to listen away the pain?
"This,"
she pointed to her headbanger,
"helps me block it out, but I will never forgive myself. Maya became an orphan. She moved in with us, but a week later she ran away. We searched all of Chakra, but could not find her. I do not know if she is dead or alive. I should have never tried to help them."
Don't try to help.
If we try to save innocence, then we can never save innocence.
Never try to help people. That's the lesson that we learned today. Yeah. Daddy, invent me an MP3 player so I don't have to hear the voices. It wasn't your fault, Tuki said gently. You tried to give them a better life. Before Kamalani could respond, the flashback females approached a shell-shocked Dylan and took her to the center of the circle. Dylan was super sad about that. Yeah, I bet she's super pumped to see what her flashback will be now. Dylan also nodded as if answering questions that weren't spoken. In a flash, they were all in an immense park within the Boo Big Teak Nation. Instead of endless posters and signs advertising sales, they were inspirational messages like, "Smiles are the best currency," and "Keep Boo Big Teak beautiful, save our park." Another super chat from Zero Gravy. "Only music can deafen the wet, crushed family noise." Thank you. A man and a sweet-looking girl about 6 years old stood next to a jungle gym. The little blonde girl was Dylan's sweet, feisty face, but not like, the facial slough. They didn't peel it off. It was actually like on a person. Just to clarify. "Oh my God, there's my daddy," Dylan murmured, staring at him. She stepped up to her dad and tried to touch his hair. Her hand swirled through his head like it was paint being smeared in the air, but that didn't deter her. She leaned in close, her head partly glopping into his. Dylan's dad picked up 6-year-old Dylan and placed her on a slide. He pushed her on the swing set and helped her up onto the monkey bars, but it all seemed too much for him. Winded, he kneeled down to his daughter. "Dylan, my baby, Daddy's little girl, Daddy's gonna have to go somewhere far away very, very soon." "On a trip?" young Dylan asked. "Can I come?" Afraid not. There were tears in her father's eyes. And before I go, I just want to make sure I say something to you that I want you to remember always. He cleared his throat. Dylan, baby, Daddy wants you to know that you are beautiful. These other little skinny things in the nation, don't ever let them get you down. Don't change nothing about you, boo. Not one thing. This is how she writes it, I swear. 'Cause everything about you's perfect. I'm just reading the way that it's written. I promise. Suddenly, Dylan's father started to cough. He seemed unable to catch his breath. Oh, this is the dying cough. You know that they're on their way to the great beyond. I have the black lung. Yeah, Dad's going to the store to get cigarettes. He seemed unable to catch his breath. His face became bright red, and then he dropped to the ground. What? He just immediately dies. Immediately, it's like, I gotta go away for a while. Don't worry about me. Daddy? Little Dylan cried, hovering over him. Daddy, what's wrong? Her father looked at her with glassy eyes. Oh, he's having his death throes right now. His mouth opened and closed, but he couldn't speak. In seconds, a Boo Big Teak ambulance roared up. An EMT stumped out and loaded Dylan's father into a stretcher. Surely they would put him in a cart. Daddy! Young Dylan cried again and again. A few moments later, the girls returned to the ooh-ah. Oh, that was it. Cool flashback. Dylan lay on the floor sobbing. Yeah, aren't you glad you made your friends do this, Dylan? Another flashback. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. Oh no, he's got car canceritis. Exactly. The yellow mannequin turned to Tukey expectantly. Are you ready? Tukey shook her head and started toward Dylan. Without seeing her move her mouth or emit a sound, Tukey heard one of the flashback females say, Let her be, Tukey. The pain is part of the healing. Tukey licked her lips, suddenly feeling terrified. She wasn't ready to face the past if it was going to hurt her as much as it had her friends. I want to skip my turn. The mannequin frowned. But it's a rewarding bonding experience, and it will help you grow as a Bella. Shut up. And if you refuse, I'll have to mark your time in ooh-ah as incomplete. Ooh-ah is a class as well, you see. Oh, so they have to be traumatized for class, for a grade. You got an A in trauma. Tukey let out a huge sigh. Failing something as simple and supposedly relaxing as ooh-ah wasn't an option. Setting aside all her anxieties, she stepped into the circle. The flashback females walked toward her, mouths shut. But Tukey could hear them speaking loud and clear. Breathe deeply, they said. Stand very still in the circle to come face to face with your demons. It is from here that we can lead you back to a time that has already happened. Tukey glanced over her shoulder at Kamalani and Dylan. Their eyes seemed to silently speak to her, too. It's okay, Tukey. It's okay. She turned back to the female. She didn't even have to speak her request, just think it. Please just show me something good from my life, anything, even if it's something I can't remember. It is so, one of the females answered, shutting her eyes. There was a whoosh of light. Tukey felt like her brain was being turned upside down and inside out. But it wasn't painful at all. Instead, it felt like her head was being relieved of pressure, like a tea kettle whistling out steam. Another super chat from Trevin Grayick. I'm imagining Dad falling due to ragdoll physics. Thank you. When she opened her eyes, she was in her house in Peppertown, only it looked newer, not as ramshackle. And her bedroom was spotless, sheer curtains embroidered with yellow ducks flanked with the sparkling windows. A stuffed giraffe stood proudly in the corner. A small bed was in the middle of the room, covered with a thick yellow comforter with white tassels along the edge. Plush barriers ran down the sides of the bed, a protective measure to prevent a sleeper from rolling onto the floor. Mrs. de la Creme entered the bedroom. A man who certainly must have been Mr. de la Creme was holding her hand, although Tukey couldn't see his face. Tukey's jaw dropped. She couldn't recall ever seeing her parents display physical affection. This was before her father's accident, so his body was cut and toned. Creamy was still as wrinkled as she was today, but she looked softer, happier. She carried an adorable toddler dressed in bright yellow onesie pajamas. The miracle? But then she heard her mother murmuring,
There, Tukey, there.
Tukey was transfixed. She'd never seen baby photos of herself. But where's Bellissima? She wondered. Then she realized the doll didn't exist yet. Tukey stared at her 2-year-old self. She was actually, strangely, cute. Oh, so she could at least I wasn't an ugly baby. I still had 2 different colored eyes like a freak, but I was cute. Not yet the hideously disproportionate, frustratingly awkward teenager she'd grown to be. Mr. de la Creme gently touched his baby daughter's head, her hair a mix of textures that seemed deliberate, not random and haphazard. How did I do? 6 teeth already, Dumplin'? You're jumping the gun. You're gonna need one of these soon. He handed her a toddler-sized toothbrush. I think that was the Mr. de la Creme voice. Young Tukey grabbed the toothbrush and bit on it. Mr. de la Creme turned to his wife and smiled. Look at her. She's strong, just like her daddy. And she looks just like me, doesn't she?
You wish,
Mrs. de la Creme playfully smacked him on his muscular arm.
My Tukey is the spitting image of her mommy.
Tukey couldn't believe it. My Tukey? Mommy? When did Creamy allow herself to be called Mommy? And when did she stop? Mrs. de la Creme laid little Tukey down on her bed.
Time to give that up now, Dumplin'.
Oh, no, that was Mr. Time to give that up now, Dumplin', Mr. de la Creme said, taking away the toothbrush. There'll be plenty of days ahead when I'll have to force you to brush your teeth. Right now, just enjoy being the beautiful baby girl that you are. Her toothbrush in her father's hand again, but he was holding it with love, not as a weapon. Then both parents gave baby Tukey a gentle kiss on her forehead. Mwah! Mwah! Tears fell down from Tukey's eyes into her green terry cloth ooh-ah dress. Dylan and Kamalani looked at her curiously. I never knew they loved me, she said, her heart banging fast. They were going to send me away. They didn't want me anymore. What changed between then and now? Was it miracle? His eye accident? Or something else? The memory rolled on. Sleepy, huh, Dumplin'? I'm going into the Dylan voice. Sleepy, huh, Dumplin'? I know. I see you fighting it. Mr. de la Creme said as he kissed little Tukey's toes. Ugh. Just close those eyes and dream those dreams that will all come true one day. Go on now. Go to sleep, Dumplin'. Just dream. Just go for all of us. Present-day Tukey squeezed her eyes shut. It's time to leave now, the flashback female said. With that, the flashback disappeared, and young Tukey and her tender and loving parents were gone. Were her baby fingers even more babyish? They were the babiest of fingers. Tukey uncapped a pink pen and began to write in Gaudian. What? Did something... I guess this must be a different time. There's just like a gap. And then the next page starts. There's no like break or anything. So I don't know. I'm guessing this is a different time. They're not still there. Tukey uncapped a pink pen and began to write in Gaudian. Dear Lizzie, I wonder if you know where I am right now. If you saw them choose me to come to this special place. I wonder if you think I'm a deserter, a two-faced liar, a selfish egomaniac who ditched our friendship at the very first opportunity. I hope not. If you do know where I am, I hope you're looking up at the mountain, wondering what I'm doing right now, not hating me with all your heart. Because I want to tell you everything, Lizzie. I miss our talks. I miss how we laugh. I miss knowing where you are and where you aren't. I've got new friends. Oh, Fuck, I forgot that she spelled friends with 3 S's, or 4 S's for her friends. Yeah, Tear Eaton lives. Tear it on Eaton? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I saw my whole family die. My dad died in front of me. My parents actually loved me at one point. I've got new friends here, but wait a sec, Lizzie, don't be jealous. You'd love them. They're like us. A little odd, a bit quirky, and definitely real. One of us. One of us. Their imperfections are what make them shine with the most scintillating, effervescent inner glow you've ever seen. Things have changed in other ways, too. I've transformed from the bangle, bobble, and bead forget-a-girl into Modelland stare-at-her-girl. Everyone either thinks I'm a freak, or that I'm here as an experiment. Remember those sacrifice rumors, Lizzie? I'm still not sure if they're true. Maybe they are after me. Now I'm starting to sound like you, ... smiley face. The latest person to join in on the Glare Fest is Bravo, a male model attending our brother school, Bestosterone. Everyone else acts as if he is the incarnation of some long-forgotten god, but all I can do when I see him is turn away. He embarrassed me. Lizzie reaching toward his nose to indicate that I could... Lizzie reaching? What is that about? Lizzie reaching. He embarrassed me, Lizzie reaching toward his nose to indicate that I should wipe away some vile olive-tinted whipped cream snot in front of everyone. She's mad he embarrassed her for telling her she had shit on her face? What the fuck is this about? Get over yourself, Tukey. But before Bravo so rudely pointed out the liquid blemish dripping from my nostril, I'd gotten the compliment of my life. A teacher, they're called gurus here, told me I ain't half bad, which to me sounded like a symphony. A warm blanket on a Shivera day. The same kind of affirmation you used to give me, something I miss like crazy. Lizzie, there are many things I lack here at Modelland. One is the exceptional beauty that the majority of my peers in this paradise have. Another is the gift of lumiere, a special glowing nightlight that enhances its recipient's natural beauty. Well, it just sounds kind of stupid when you say it that way. I also lack a family back at home that misses me and counts down the days until they can see me again. You just had a flashback. But tonight, you know what? I don't care, because tonight I ain't half bad. And I'm praying that wherever you are, you ain't half bad too. I miss you, hot queen. Are there fewer more touching lines? They're like, have you ever read a line more touching in a book than "I miss you, hot queen"? Iconic. Good night, Lizzie. Tukey. And then she signed the I with an FG for Forget-a-Girl, like she usually does, but she put a question mark this time. FG? Forget-a-Girl? I miss you, hot queen. P.S. I hope you're staying far away from sharp rocks. P.S. I thought I would mention your self-harm at the end here. Another super chat from Elizabeth M. May we all be not half bad. We ain't half bad. But tonight, Tukey ain't half bad. Just do it like the Meatloaf 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But Tukey ain't half bad. I don't know the tune well enough. I don't know why I even mentioned it. So that was chapter 22. Chapter 23, everybody. Chapter 23. I miss you, hot queen. Chapter 23, The Diabolical Divide. While Tukey lay fast asleep in her lumiere-less bed in the D, well, she got better sleep than anyone else. A plan was in action at the base of the Modelland Mountain. An enormous sign swayed crookedly in the breeze. Warning, enter and you may perish painfully. Beyond, in a jungle of tangled barbed plants, boulders and rotting... Beyond it was a jungle of tangled barbed plants, boulders and rotting steel. Every few moments, an eerie hoot, hoot, screech, screech, or scream was emitted somewhere from the darkness. Moans, grumbles. The sound of nails scraping down a piece of glass. Pops of metal underfoot. I don't know, I can't do that. Wobble, wobble, wobble. A little wobbling metal sound. An insane, high-pitched laugh. It's a Halloween haunted house. Slowly, a ragtag crunched past the sign and lined up against a large rock. Jessamine, a beautiful teenage girl from the most prestigious section of Ladorno, and her mother, Mina. Lynn, a woman in her late 40s holding a limp advertisement cut from a newspaper in her trembling hand. After them, none other than the hairy Abigail Good, her T-Dod head injury having healed. Oh, I forgot she got a head injury at T-Dod. And her even hairier mother, who was appropriately named Harriet. The Good women carried duffels that sported hairy sewn-on patches promoting their pro-hair causes. Shut up! Why has everyone just got one thing in their life? Another super chat from Zero Gravy. This book must be some degree brain murder legally. Yeah. Thank you. Jessamine covered her mouth. So are these the people that have journeyed? They've made the pilgrimage over the mountain to try and get to Modelland without being invited. I think that's what's going on. Jessamine covered her mouth in a failed attempt to stifle a laugh. "Oh, wow, I love what they've done with their hair," she said in a voice loud enough for the Good women to hear. A twitching, hunchbacked man strode up, pulling a leather hood over his head to obscure his scaly skin, beady eyes, and uniformly pointed teeth. His kind was unfamiliar to the group, but a certain porcelain-skinned girl named Piper would know them quite well. She lived with the daily terror of scores of them threatening to penetrate her homeland's grand protective dome, after all. Oh my god, those, I forget what they're called, those creatures that had spears and stuff and ate sweetbreads. I miss you, Hairy Queen. I miss you, Sasquatch Queen. Where am I? Okay. All the women nervously stepped back. "What's he doing here?" Jessamine whispered to her mother. "Everyone knows men don't usually go on these things, unless they're diehard and desperate testosterone wannabes, like those dumb architects were." "Shh," Mina whispered. Watches were checked. Canteens were uncapped to make sure an appropriate level of water remained for the first part of the trip. Hiking booted toes tapped, sweaty brows dripped, temples pounded in agony, veins throbbed and bulged. Everyone knew what the others were thinking. Would this be a mistake, as it had been for everyone before them who'd made the attempt? For they were victims of the Pilgrim Plague, about to embark on the treacherous trek up the diabolical divide to Modelland, and they had chosen this clear black night to begin the most important journey of their lives. It would take several months. No one has anything else going on in their lives in Modelland. Another super chat from Trevin Grayek. "I miss you, Bayonetta." Thank you. There would be no turning back. A final figure emerged from the darkness, their guide, a professional trespasser or raider named Macy Kamada. He wore a He wore a large pack crammed with survival gear. I like this guy, the professional trespasser raider that helps people guide them up the mountain months to Modelland. He wore a large pack crammed with survival gear, the straps cutting into his shoulders. Even though he was as overburdened as a pack mule, Kamada still looked strong and robust. He had weathered, sunburned skin, a thick crew cut, and hooded eyes that constantly darted back and forth. He opened one of the breast pockets on his don't they mean breastostero pockets? He opened one of the breast pockets on his jumpsuit and retrieved a plastic bag containing several dozen pills. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups, oh no! He poured the entire bag into his mouth and swallowed all the pills with no water. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. "I miss you, Sense." Thank you. Don't we all? He motioned for the group to line up in front of him. I don't know. He's an adventurer. Time for antibiotics, venom blockers, and miasma inhibitors, he said, placing a plastic bag of pills in each pilgrim's hand. Swallow them if you want to survive the bites and other deadly forces that lurk on the divide. If you refuse, you're asking for certain death the moment we pass the first junction. The entire group gulped down the pills. Gulp, 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 gulp. Kamada stuck a needle into his rock-hard butt, injecting a thick, murky liquid. Something very funny about using the word butt, isn't it? He stuck a needle into his rock-hard butt. Now I'm wankering off, yeah. It's a rock-hard butt. I'm just looking at the chat. I just like to see what you guys are saying. You're so funny. His rock-hard butt. A booster, he explained. Again, the pilgrims lined up as they were told. Jessamine recoiled from the acidic burn of the needle plunging deep into her backside, so he's just sticking it in all their butts. They're all getting a bunch of needles in butts. You're experienced on the mountain, correct? Lynn asked. Your ad said you were, and I'm the best damn raider money can motivate, Kamada answered gruffly. But you understand the not-so-fine print, right? I make no guarantees for your safety, your comfort, your success, your lives. I point and you go. Everyone understand? All the pilgrims nodded. Okay then. Time to reward the raider. Kamada extended his palm. Everyone handed over thick wads of cash. When it was Lynn's turn, she stared tearfully at the money in her hand. This is my entire life savings. Please promise that you'll deliver us to Modelland safely. Guys, it ain't worth it. Look, we've been spending quite some time reading about Modelland. It ain't that great. It ain't worth it. Behind her, Jessamine snorted. What is her ancient ass going for anyway? Shh, her mother said, pushing a hand over her daughter's mouth. All right, Kamada said, brushing his hands together. Are we ready? The group gave a resounding yes. Satisfied, Kamada pulled a flashlight out of his pocket and beamed it toward the diabolical divide. Wait! A voice screeched behind them. Two figures dressed in camouflage combat suits bounded up the ridge. Giant transport packs full of flares, eating utensils, sleeping bags, axes, a fold-up tent, and lanterns swung from their backs. They both wore night vision goggles. Don't leave without us! The taller of the two cried. We're on your list! We signed up yesterday! She riffled around the pocket? I don't know. Rifled? I can't read. She rifled around in the pocket of her camo pants and pulled out a stack of crisp bills. The guide instantly smiled and snatched it from her. So let's see here. He pulled out his registration list. You must be... What? I didn't know this. Mrs. de la Creme, the tall figure interrupted, patting her wrinkly tan skin. But you can call me Creamy.
And this is my daughter, Miracle. Honey, stop dancing, please.
Dun dun dun. Fan favorites return. Miracle stopped her frantic movements and pulled in her bottom lip. Kamada nodded. And what's that? He motioned to something Mrs. de la Creme had pressed to her chest.
Her name is Bellissima,
Creamy said with annoyance. A doll going up the divide? Kamada blinked. Well, that's a first. Yeah, fucking Creamy. I didn't miss you, hot queen. See, now something's happening. I'm excited. It's a plot's happening. It's something that 286 pages in they decided should be going on. Tyra. He hitched his backpack higher on his shoulders and opened one of its many compartments. Take these, he said, handing them the pack of pills. He then gave Creamy and Miracle shots in their derrieres. Creamy turned Bellissima over and exposed her hard plastic rear end.
Give her a shot, too.
Why? Why, though? Why? What are we even reading, though? I ask this a lot, but, like... So, someone asking someone to put a shot in her doll's ass? Like, what is going on? Kamada studied Creamy. Whatever you say, lady. He had to push hard to get the needle to penetrate Bellissima's fanny. I hope you're ready for what lies ahead.
Ready? I just said you shoot my miracle and Bellissima with God knows what. We've been more than ready We've never been more ready in our lives. Someone up there has made a grave mistake and she's going to pay dearly for what she's done.
There was such an intense look in her eyes that everyone took a small step away from her. Okay, then, the guide said. He turned to the pilgrims. Off we go! Tukey selected a purple pen and began a letter in Très Jolie. Dear Creamy, you probably can't believe it, but I've been in Modelland for 3 whole months. What have they been doing for 3 months? For 3 months, they've just been eating and going to ooh-ahs and through zippers. Have she learned anything useful whatsoever? I'd like to think you're proud of me, but I know you're not. Your hopes and dreams have been pinned on the miracle, not me. I know you think she deserves to be here instead, and maybe she does. But I've got a secret. I like it here. Why? Why does she like it there? They've presented nothing appealing about this place. Everything has been just pure horror. In fact, I love it here, and I love my new friends. You might even say I'm doing okay. In each runaway, Kara, and mastication class, I get it together just a little bit more. Is that the only classes? They just learn the 3 genders. Runaway, it's going on a runway, showing faces, and eating. Wait, that's the only classes? I'm not running into walls anymore, Creamy. I sleep with my Centura on every night so that Zarpessa, someone who may actually be more evil than you, I don't think so, can't steal it from me. And in Gustgape, a class on how to keep your eyes open even in extreme winds. Oh, okay, there are more classes, but they're stupid. In Gustgape, a class on how to keep your eyes open even in extreme winds. I managed to hold out even in a hurricane. When are you going to be modeling in a hurricane? I guess I had some practice from that time you made me go to Chivera and stand in line for 5 hours for that brand new inhumane chinchilla jacket for Miracle. Creamy, I want to go for it here. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to think I should try to do my best? If I were still down in Peppertown, crammed in that tiny room with Miracle, retrieving baby gherkins out of a jar for you, and generally being an all-around forget-a-girl, I would probably think I was insane. But now I want to go for it 100%. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that out loud, though. So instead, I'll just keep whispering it to myself and writing it to you. I know a secret about you. I know you once loved me. I know you once held me in your arms and looked at me like I was a miracle. That hurts, Creamy. What happened? How did you go from love to wanting to send me away to be a factory dependent? Even if I became an Intoxabella, which of course won't happen, would you feel different about me? Oh, it won't happen. Not you, forget it, girl. I wish I could say I miss you, but I don't. I miss the old you, the one I don't even remember, but not the you I know now. Your daughter, Tukey, a Bella at Modelland. How y'all feeling? You doing good? 142? Oh, we've gained some viewers. Thank you. You feeling okay? These letters feel like padding? Sure do. How long is this next chapter? We actually just finished chapter 23. Let's see. Where is chapter 25? Give me a moment. Alright, guys. Let's do chapter 24. Chapter 24. WOW. Wow. Our most unusual tale picks up at the start of the next Modelland Quadmester. So we have a time jump now. They spent so much fucking time on every single second of boring ass detail of what they were doing, seemingly in real time. She went to sleep, she woke up, she went to this class, she did this person did this person did this person did this. And now, 289 pages in, we do a time skip. You give us this, you grace us with this gift, Tyra? Holy shit. Our most unusual tale picks up at the start of the next Modelland Quadmester, 3 months and 4 days into the Bella's first year at the unusual, untouchable, and never uneventful fantastical land on top of the mountain. Tukey stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom of the D. She's in the D, brushing her tongue with her toothbrush. As she rinsed her mouth, her thoughts turned dark. She's not mine, Creamy. Every morning when she brushed her teeth at Modelland, her mind would inevitably return to that dismal memory of her father, but it was happening later in the toothbrushing process each day. Just minutes later, Tukey, Dylan, Shiraz, and Piper walked toward the E. They neared the new stadium, now almost completed. A group of sweaty bestostabros were picking up the construction debris.
Hey, what's up? It's Tukey, right?
It was Bravo. For a moment, Tukey just blinked. He's not talking to me. He did just say my name. The one she's still mad at him for pointing out that she had stuff on her face. He was coming toward them, carrying a thick tree limb over his shoulder like it was a toothpick. The other girls' mouths dropped open. Hi, and bye, Tukey said, remembering how Bravo had oh so rudely pointed out the snot hanging from her nose after her first mastication class. Get over it, Tukey. She hadn't seen him much since, and she certainly hadn't been looking for him. Good luck with your manly man stuff, she said flippantly. Oh, how 3 months at Modelland have changed her. And don't forget to pouch your perfect lips and contract your rippling muscles for the cameras. Dylan shot Tukey an "Are you crazy?" look and nudged her in the ribs.
I'm more than just a model or a manly man,
Bravo said. Then he laughed uncomfortably, shaking loose bark and dust from the tree limb. Ha ha ha. Some landed in Tukey's hair and on her face. Great, Tukey thought. Now he's covering me in splinters. Is this boy's mission in life to torment me?
Oops, sorry.
Bravo stepped closer to Tukey.
The Belladonna wanted us to clear away some of these dead trees for a better view of the new stadium. Didn't mean to get you there.
Tukey noticed his irises were a familiar salted caramel color. Try not to swoon, she told herself. What about the envelopes? You're not into pretty boys, remember? Especially ones who are training to become male models. Then Bravo lightly patted Tukey's hair clean of dust and gingerly plucked a piece of a small shard of wood stuck in her bottom lip. Lightly patted. He removed the last traces of chipped wood, but his thumb lingered between her lips and made slight contact with her tongue. Tukey wanted to bite down hard on his hand to teach him a lesson to not touch her like that, but instead she closed her lips on his thumb, locking it inside her mouth, her body betraying her. What? How do you... I remember this from the America's Next Top Model reenactment of Modelland, and they have the bit where it's like that, and then she like sucks on his thumb. But how do you accidentally do that, though? How do you accidentally do that? That's gross. I didn't even like doing that to my own thumb just now. Ew. How do you do that? She's sucking his thumb. She smelled him. A mixture of tree bark, sweat, and blood orange, and felt the heat of his sweating body sail toward her. Her knees wobbled, her heart started to stutter, and she felt a warmth gush through her core. One corner of Bravo's mouth curled into a crooked smile.
Do I taste good?
Tukey realized that what she was doing and released his thumb. See, this is not a normal thing. This is just a weird Tyra thing. No one accidentally does this. No one does this because they're horny. No one does this. Tukey realized what she was doing and released his thumb. She didn't even know this guy. What had gotten into her? She glanced at her friends. To her horror, they were trying to contain their laughter. They all had their thumbs in their mouths, playfully mocking her. Oh, as they should. Tukey turned back to Bravo. "Hi," she said awkwardly, as if she hadn't been speaking with him for the last few minutes.
Hi,
He said back, breaking into the lopsided smile again. The hairs on the backs of Tukey's thighs stood up. We have to run," she said, but her feet were planted in place. And then suddenly 3 figures tumbled out from behind the stadium. Bravo's bestostero friends, Webb, Alexander, and a guy named O'Neill. "Well, looky here," Webb shouted in a nasty, oily voice. I don't remember the voices. Alexander made slurping, kissing noises. O'Neill thrust his hips forward lewdly, like a humping dog. The 3 of them laughed, their handsome faces twisted and callous. Tukey stepped away as she could feel their mocking, disparaging stares all over her. "See you, not later, Bravo," she muttered.
Tukey, wait.
But Tukey didn't turn around. "Come on," she hissed to her friends. "Let's get out of here."
"Pretty boy Kooky go for Tukey and want her nookie,"
Shiraz said sexily to Tukey as they jogged away. Ugh. "You sound like Chaste," Tukey reprimanded, not laughing back. Deep down, she felt flushed, overwhelmed, confused. His thumb entering my mouth. Yum. I mean, yuck. Was it all just a joke? Or something more? Yum? 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 Oh, a random M is back. What determines when an M is gonna, like, be on a page? What determines that? It's just random. After a meal in the E, the other girls took a bathroom break, and Tukey wandered out to Beautification Boulevard and studied her new schedule. Then she felt a hand tap her shoulder. Certain it was Bravo again, she spun around. But it was Bibiana, her hair wet from her morning shower. She peered at Tukey.
"Do you understand these clocks at all? They're making me go in circles like I'm doing some crazy samba number."
Tukey blinked at the girl for a moment. She was still caught off guard when someone actually approached her, as though she wasn't invisible. Especially someone as gorgeous as this girl, who was even lovelier than Miracle. Tukey turned and looked at the Kaleido clock. The hand was just past orange. They tell time by color. I don't know if I don't think I recapped that. They tell time. It was just past orange.
"My schedule says my next class, wow, is at 5:05,
Bibiana said.
5:05? What does that mean?"
I think after 3 months you could probably figure out the order of the colors, though. It's stupid, but I feel like 3 months is enough time.
"She owns a bistro nights."
"Want the ham sandwich?" Tukey still struggled with telling time in Modelland, but for once she wasn't alone. None of the new Bellas could make heads or tails of the colorful Modelland clocks. For the first time in Modelland history, the entire class had to partake in an impromptu remedial class on the workings of the Kaleido clock timekeepers. You know, you wouldn't have to teach them all this if you just told time the normal way. Another super chat from Quinn Zeiker. It's a little pair giving a thumbs up. Hey! Thanks, Quinn. The lesson was meant to last an hour, but the girls had struggled so badly that it dragged on for 4.5. 4.5 hours to try and learn the color clocks? Maybe just call it a loss there. Even after the class and a private tutoring session from Piper, Tukey felt just as clueless about the timekeepers as the day she'd arrived at Modelland. $5 per million? I don't have a clue, Tukey admitted. Tukey was going to WOW, War of Words, too, so they walked there together. Seeing the girls stood below the gigantic windowless rose gold metal ball that was labeled the War of Words, Magnetosphere. The War of the Worlds! And people thought they did a radio show of Modelland, and then people thought it was real, and it freaked everyone out. The shiny sphere hovered 30 feet above the ground with no visible means of support. How do we get in there? Tukey asked.
Let's wait for a guinea pig to show us,
Bibiana suggested.
Hopefully that won't take long,
said Piper, coming up behind them. She had fashioned the umbrella she'd been given as soon as they landed in Modelland into a unique couture-like hat. It shaded it into her entire face. She's an umbrella hat. Yet again, simply by the way she stood, shoulders rolled back, chin up, her eyes mysterious yet intense. She could have been an unusual Intoxibella in a high-fashion advertisement. The girls watched as Bo, the emotionless Bella, walked directly beneath the ball and stood there. Within a few seconds, she was swiftly propelled upward into the ball.
Beleza!
Bibiana cried excitedly.
Let's try that!
Tukey, Bibiana, and Piper walked up to the ball. After a minute, Tukey felt a pull as if a giant magnet was dragging her upward. The other girls were yanked up as well. The magnetic attraction made their bodies go limp. Tukey felt like a marionette. When they were mere inches from the bottom of the magnetosphere, a circle slid open and sucked them inside a perfectly round room that was the same rose gold color as the exterior. Girls were standing nervously on a stage that followed the contour of the sphere. Tukey spotted Shiraz and Dylan and grinned. She also noticed the 4 Likey sisters, as well as Zarpessa. We're back to this, where she's just describing classes. Over the past week, Zarpessa's wrath toward Tukey had only gotten worse. One night, Zarpessa had used her Centura to make Tukey's hand-drawn image on her bedspread attempt to strangle her. What? I'm sorry, we're just as an aside, there was an attempted murder? She made her bedspread try to strangle her? No one but Zarpessa had been in the room at the time, so Tukey had no proof of what had occurred. Tukey had had to punch her own image in the face, knocking her bed sketch out cold. What is Tyra on about with this? What if it had succeeded in killing her? It'd be like Zarpessa's just a murderer. Don't make eye contact with her, Tukey said to herself now. It kind of reminded her of what Creamy had said about Wingtip. Wise old Wingtip. Don't forget, wise old Wingtip.
Gonna give you some advice about life. It's me, wise old Wingtip. I miss ya, hot queen.
Tukey wondered what Creamy was doing right now. It felt like she'd been at Modelland for so long. Miracle must be preparing for next year's T-Dot already, and Creamy had probably renovated the kitchen 19 times. 2 metal podiums stood at the center of the circular stage. Under the super chat from Cartoon Kelly, R.I.P. my ability to think. Sorry, but thank you. Two metal podiums stood at the center of the circular stage. There was a table in the middle that held small metal tags stamped with plus and minus signs. On one side of the sphere's curved wall was an immense green-lit plus sign. A red minus sign illuminated the other. Around the room, necklaces, rings, buckles, and other metal objects were stuck to the walls. A set of miniature railroad tracks adhered to the shiny surface, too. When Tukey got closer, she realized they were orthodontic braces. Tukey's mouth fell open as she stared at the bizarre wall. Suddenly, she felt a tugging sensation in one of her back right molars. Something dislodged from her tooth and shot out of her mouth before she could stop it. Clank! A piece of metal slammed against the wall. It just took the thing out of her tooth? Wait, so it took her 3 months and she's never had this class before? What is the schedule? Because it's another semester or something? Her fillings got ripped out. That's what happened. That's what happened, guys. If you're confused, you're like, oh, I must have misheard. No, that's what happened. Oh, wow, cool beans, the Likey sisters exclaimed in their odd one-word-per-girl speech. Her tooth filling stuck. Tukey curled her tongue around her back tooth. Sure enough, her filling was gone. Another super chat from Lakdasad6. Do you think LeVar Burton would recommend this book? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Thank you. I don't know who would you recommend it to? Only people who are into So Bad It's Good books, television, top model fans.
Could be gold amalgam, the Likey said, staring up at the filling. Hard deciphering from here.
Looks like the fraud quad has their eyes on your filling,
Piper murmured to Tukey under her breath. She, Tukey, Dylan, and Shiraz had begun to notice that the Likey sisters liked to claim things that weren't theirs as their own, hence their new nickname. Other girls began to lose pieces of metal from their bodies. Like, oh my god, one of them's gonna have like a metal hip or something. A plate in their head, it's gonna shoot out. Other girls began to lose pieces of metal from their bodies. A gold anklet whipped off of Chase's ankle. Baby Anna lost a pair of stud earrings. Oh, just ripped out. Psh! Ugh. Tukey felt a pull at her chest. Oh no, she thought. My metal inside my chest! My pacemaker! The wall wanted her pin. The pin! The ceiling yanked the Tukey button from underneath her garden brooch. It sailed upward and clicked onto the ceiling. Tukey broke a rule of refraining from eye contact and snuck a peek at Zarpessa, who was lifting her chin up to the ceiling at just that moment. Simultaneously, Tukey felt another tug on her chest. Her plant brooch shot upward too, landing precisely on top of the button. Whew! Whew, indeed. The odd tendrilled sprout was beginning to become a bit of a lifesaver. Why do you even care about Theophilus' stupid button? Then Chase turned to Zarpessa. Yesterday, in the E, I heard some older Bellas say that someone named Matt Joe von Megalo teaches this class. Von Megalo. She stretched the name out like taffy. I'm calling firsties, so all you chicks better let go my Megalo. At that moment, the circle entrance opened up in the floor once more. A troll of a man entered. He was balding on the left side of his head as he walked like a seal scoots when on land. Chase leaned around her Likey to get a good look. Oh, mega hell no, she yelled. The troll man was dressed impeccably. He wore an expensive-looking suit complete with a man couture ascot and freshly shined chestnut brown boots. He ignored Chase's remarks and looked cagily around the room. Everyone is here. Yep, very good, very good. His voice was nasal and high-pitched. Oh, high-pitched. Everyone is here. Nasal and high-pitched. Everyone is... Everyone is here. Yep, very good, very good. I liked my voice better. I'm just gonna use my voice. I don't care what she says he sounds like. He's Danny DeVito. Everyone is here. Yep, good, very good. He could barely make eye contact with the girls. Hello, dear Bellas. My name is Matt Joe von Megalo. He continued. Yep, Guru Matt Joe. He bowed and rocked on his heels. I will be your humble general as we engage in, wow, a war of words. He proceeded to scoot walk toward Chase, stumbling over his own feet. I'm imagining like Danny DeVito, but he's being turned into the walrus from Tusk. He proceeded to scoot walk toward Chase, stumbling over his own feet. Tukey smiled slightly. He reminded her of herself. You will learn how to use words to convince, to charm, to soothe, and to strike and destroy the arguments of anyone standing in your way. And I don't mean the way thespian dames do it, ladies. Tyra hates actresses. Just reciting lines from cue cards and crying on command. I mean doing so with Modelland conviction. Another super chat from Gareth Jones. Love you, movie nights. You're on report. Thank you. You're on report. The guru delivered his little speech without looking at any of them, but that last bit was spoken with a torrent of emotion. Sorry, Matt Joe ducked his head meekly. I'm usually not aggressive. I must have learned it from my friend the Testosterone, bravo. Yep. He laughed like an out-of-breath hyena. He has friends at Testosterone? Chase whispered to she-likey. Yeah, right. Bravo. An unwanted, excited shiver rippled through Tukey. Bravo was coming up all sorts of ways that day. She thought again about his thumb in her mouth, trying to make sense of what had happened. Yeah, we're all trying to figure that one out. Was there something she should have done differently? Yeah, not sucked on his thumb. Acted seductive like Chaste, snide like Zarpessa, even confident and sassy like Dylan. Instead, she just stood there, sucking and sucking like a baby. Very strange. Mad Joe deployed a small mirror and a miniature ruler, measured the space between his eyebrows and the width of his lips, jotted something in a small notebook, then quickly returned the items to his pocket.
Now, where was I? The class. Yep. This is War of Words. In your previous lives, you may have called it debate. But we call things stupid things here, so now it's War of Words. We could have called it debate, but we didn't. Today I will begin by observing your natural skills, and from there I will mold your use of language so that you are, skilled artisans. Bellas, this is, the most important class you'll ever take at Modelland. Why? Well, as in Toxabellas, you must master the art of speaking about the products you are hired to represent. Yep. You must clearly convey your love and use of them, whether you adore them or actually detest it. The job of an Intoxabella is not necessarily to love the products you sell, but to make your public become enamored with them.
So if you hate a product, you can just go, this is bullshit, buy it. Tukey immediately thought of chocolate. She couldn't imagine having to eat it and then smile and lie about loving it. Just thinking about it made a bit of throw-up creep into the back of her throat. She really didn't like chocolate.
So let's have a little fun first, shall we?
Guru Matt Joe said, his nose twitching like he was about to sneeze.
It's always nice to start off with a fun and frivolous topic. Anyone have any ideas? Anything at all?
No one volunteered.
Nothing's off limits. Yep,
Guru Matt Joe said.
If he says yep one more time, I'm gonna scream,
Dylan whispered in Tukey's ear.
I have an idea. Chase's hand shot up. How about we debate free swing versus firm sling?
A few girls giggled. Hee! Matt Joe scratched his bald spot, confused. Flakes of dandruff fell on his shoulders.
Do you wish to debate the merits of different types of hammocks?
Kind of. Chase seductively twirled a piece of hair around her finger. Hammocks for honkers. She has the worst line. The worst lines. I hate it. The giggles persisted. Matt Joe remained just as perplexed. Bra versus no bra, Tukey wanted to yell out, to spare him from the embarrassment. But Chase just kept going. You know, bazookas, cha-chas, chesticles.
Okay, then you go over there.
Guru Matt Joe pointed Chase to the side of the room with a green plus sign.
You're free swing. And you,
he pointed to Shiraz as if his finger were a pistol. Whoosh.
You're firm sling.
Shiraz hurried to the minus side of the room.
I'm ready.
Matt Joe hobbled onto his stool.
You see the metal tags on the table. Chaste, please apply a plus sign to your forehead, and Shiraz a minus sign.
I think that plus sign would be more appropriate on Dylan's buttocks, Zarpessa trilled, eyeing Dylan. Dylan's mouth fell open, but Tukey reached over and squeezed her hand. Since their arrival at Modelland, Zarpessa had been making all kinds of jabs like that at all four of them. The girl is a bully strategist, Tukey thought. She knows to not just attack the enemy, but to hit those the enemy cares about too.
Each girl gets one statement. No rebuttal. Yep, the guru said. Ready?
Shiraz and Chase nodded. The centauras on Chase and Shiraz's waist slid off and bound their wrists to each other like fabric handcuffs. Neither looked happy with this new development.
Free swing versus firm sling. Proceed, Matt Joe said.
To bra or not to bra? That is the question, Chase started.
A resounding clap of electricity echoed through the sphere, and Chase and Shiraz's foreheads were magnetically drawn toward each other. The girls tried to fight the force, but it was no use. In seconds, their faces were mere inches apart. Shiraz shot a frantic look at Guru Matjo.
Stay in the moment, ladies, he said. Focus on your opponent. Yup. Opposing sides can both attract and repel, depending on their position. From the force that seems to be pulling you toward each other now, you are truly on conflicting sides of this matter. With magnets, remember, opposites attract. Positive, go, now!
Chase inhaled deeply, exhaling slowly, and began.
The melon fruit is one to be supremely relished, a sweet treat one should enjoy in its pure rawness, without a fork to spear its tender flesh, or a napkin to sop up the luscious juice that drips from our chins. Honeydews, cantaloupes, cassavas, crenshaws, muskmelons, and watermelons, best appreciated without the interference of objects created by man's hands.
Matjo's face was very red. He turned to Shiraz.
Okay, your turn.
Shiraz cleared her throat, seeming a little knocked off her game. Then she launched into a song.
The boobies high and tight on me,
everyone laughed.
My nobbies pert and firm agree, but forever young they will not be. No bra they'll sag with gravity.
Still got like 11 pages left. God. The entire class launched into thunderous applause. Zarpessa even lifted her hands to start clapping, but she lowered them quickly. Silence fell over the room.
Chase offered a passionate argument, Matjo said. She used food as a metaphor for, Yep. But she may have skewed into a more testosterone-laden audience. Shiraz, on the other hand, had a lyrical presentation that used both humor and logic, which appealed to her target audience. Thus, I declare the winner to be...
Suddenly, the circle opened up in the floor. 2 figures rose through it. The first figure was Persimmon. She held on to a second figure who was bound and gagged. Tukey gasped, CL. Another super chat from Cartoon Kelly. This, my head. Thank you. Again, with CL in the shackles. Why do we keep... It's like we're in Groundhog Day, just constantly. The fallen 777 had a muzzle over her mouth. Her normally caramel-colored skin was pale, and she wore a baggy gray jumpsuit with a metal zipper up the front. On the back of the jumpsuit, the words "Ugly Room" were scrawled in large black letters. Persimmon stood at attention.
By order of the most beloved of the beloved, the most esteemed of the worthy, the definer of all things beautiful, and the leader of all those lucky enough to be led, CL is delivered to the War of Words magnetosphere.
CL turned her head away in shame. Tukey felt a lump in her throat. What had CL done?
She comes here because keeping her at Modelland has not been enough,
Persimmon recited.
She has continued to spout her insolent, disrespectful, heinous messages and vile verbiage that has denigrated all we stand for, and so as an attempt to truly get through to her so she understands the hideousness of her actions, we must step things up a notch. Today, CL is returning to her roots to be...
Persimmon paused dramatically.
A first-year Bella on No C.
Everyone gasped, including Zarpessa and Chase. Even Matjo looked uncomfortable. Persimmon poked CL's shoulder.
The belladonna commands you to remove the ugly suit.
CL swallowed hard. Slowly, she unzipped the jumpsuit. It dropped to the floor in a dingy pile. Everyone gasped again. Underneath the jumpsuit was a green Modelland Bella uniform. But it was too small, busting at the seams. Now I know what Guru Gennaro means when she calls her body girl, Zarpessa hooted. Persimmon gazed at the Bellas.
Today, CL is on the same level as all of you. Beneath you, actually, as you are now in your second quadmester, and she's in her first. The belladonna has commanded that she return to her Bella ways of yesteryear when she complied with the rules of authority. After this course, she will return to the ugly room for more shock treatments. Persimmon, is all of this necessary?
Guru Matjo asked, looking pityingly at CL. This is what we've been asking this whole time.
To do this to a girl who was so far ahead of everyone in my class not too long ago? To make her suffer so?
Then he spied a belladonna bust across across the sphere and straightened up.
Of course, I assume the esteemed Madame Belladonna has her reasons for doing this.
It was as though the Belladonna was in the room with them. Maybe she was.
CL poses a risk to herself and all of us, Persimmon said. She must be reformed by any means necessary.
The mannequin stepped up to CL and removed the muzzle. Little droplets of blood oozed from the corners of CL's mouth. Zarpessa snickered. Wow, the famed Intoxibella is slumming it with the no-sees. Tukey whipped around, filled with rage. Yeah, well, you're no stranger to slumming it yourself, she snapped before she could stop herself. Zarpessa's eyes blazed. Uh-oh, Tukey thought. You've done it now. And anyway, CL is crazy. Why did you even defend her? At least I think she's crazy. I think if Zarpessa attempts to murder her, it doesn't really matter if she tells her secret or not.
Listen, you crazy-eyed, watermelon-headed freak who's only here for a Modelland sacrifice science project. Stop, Mad Joe intervened. Save the passion for the war of words.
Persimmon spoke.
Make sure CL is assigned the argument that will aid her best in reform, the one that will please the Belladonna the most.
The circle and floor opened once more, and Persimmon disappeared. Mad Joe faced the girls and cleared his throat.
Sorry for the interruption, Bellas. Let's continue where we left off. Okay then, I guess the next debaters have chosen themselves. You there.
He pointed to Tukey.
And you.
He pointed at Zarpessa. Oh, I can't wait, Zarpessa growled, strutting up to the podium confidently, her shoulders thrown back and her head high. Tukey froze, petrified. She couldn't debate Zarpessa? There's no way. She peeked over at CL, who was no longer staring at the floor, but directly at Dylan in the same spooky, hypnotized way she'd gazed at Shiraz during the very first runaway class. She started moving her mouth, chanting inaudibly. Her body rocked steadily. She's practically frothing at the mouth, Zarpessa whispered from the podium, eyeing CL.
All right,
Mad Joe said. He looked at his roster.
Tukey versus Zarpessa, but let's add another ingredient. Partners.
He extended his arm again, looking down like he was aiming a rifle. At first he set his sights on Chaste, but then he decided to continue hunting. He spun around and brightened at CL.
Bang, he yelled. CL, join Zarpessa.
CL just stared at him catatonically. Mad Joe looked nervously around the room.
CL, she's probably watching you, he added in a whisper, clearly meaning the Belladonna. You used to ace this course in your sleep. Just get it done.
CL snapped out of her trance and walked to the podium. Then Guru Mad Joe turned to Dylan.
And, the recently attacked should have a chance to have her say as well against a oppressor. Dylan, please join Tukey.
Dylan reluctantly climbed up the steps. She gave Tukey's hand a nervous squeeze. Mad Joe pointed at CL and Zarpessa.
The topic for this last debate is going to be unusual physicality versus defined beauty. You two will argue about that atypical features are superior to conventional beauty.
Oh, because they gotta point out how ugly she is all the time.
Are you sure? CL looked skeptical. That's exactly the opposite of what you know she wants.
CL peered at the Belladonna bust across the room. The Guru ignored her, turning next to Tukey and Dylan.
And your team will argue for narrowly defined beauty and that anything else is absolutely worthless, like the kind of defining we do here at Modelland.
Oh, I feel like he's getting at something else here. This should be easy, Tukey thought. All she has to do is concentrate on Miracle's perfect face and speak from her soul. The girls placed the respective negative and positive tags on their forehead. Instantly, Tukey shot across the podium and landed forehead to forehead with CL. Dylan was locked to Zarpessa. Their centuras released from their waists and bound them together as one. Tukey had never been this close to anyone in her life, not even Lizzie. The extreme proximity was beyond uncomfortable.
War of words starts now,
Mad Joe proclaimed. Zarpessa jumped right in. Funny-looking people like you two girls and your mini and pasty friends over there, she paused, indicating Shiraz and Piper, deserve to feel attractive too, even when you are nowhere near even average-looking, and have everyone at Modelland beyond flummox as to why you unfortunate-lookings, ULs for short, are even here. But let me leave you with something positive. You ULs are beautiful too, even if it's just way deep down within the depths of your insides. And I mean mining for coal deep. Chaste guffawed in the audience. Tukey's stomach did its familiar lurch. Mad Joe ducked his head, ran his hand over his bald spot, then quickly measured his features once more.
You have a sharp tongue, Miss Zarpessa,
he murmured. Perhaps
Perhaps it cuts too sharply, he added under his breath, his voice cracking.
Another super chat from Poi Poi Girl. This book is a cry for help. Yeah, thank you. Speaking of voice cracking. He turned to CL.
You're next.
CL shut her eyes. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Tuki could feel Dylan breathing shallowly beside her. Then CL's hair started to blow wildly around her face. She opened her mouth to speak.
Yes, lustrous as your hair, she began. Agreed, bewitching as your stare.
It's a poem, Tuki realized, but she was also confused. CL was looking at Zarpessa, not at Tuki and Dylan. CL continued.
Perhaps perfection is your snout. Queen bees have stung your handsome pout. What lies beneath your cantankerous head, infected hard pus and old blackheads. Strength be with you, Pessa, as you fade, whilst the ULs dance upon your grave?
When she was finished, Tuki felt the urge to cry and clap at the same time. Unfortunately, her bound wrists prevented her from applauding. Zarpessa's eyes narrowed, but then she lowered her gaze and swallowed hard. It looked as though CL had actually gotten to her. Matt Joe paused from measuring the squareness of his chin and looked at Tuki and Dylan.
You're on, Bellas.
Tuki's mind raced and her heart started to beat faster. She gazed at CL in her uncomfortably small uniform. It was clever and generous the way CL had defended Tuki and her friends, but Tuki had a strong gut feeling it was just a consolation prize, a pat on the back before they were inevitably booted out of here or turned into mannequins. This might be the only time Tuki would be able to tell CL her feelings. And so she took a deep breath, stared into CL's green eyes, and began to speak in her own special way, in letter form, as though she were writing in her T-mail jail.
Dear CL, she said, when you chose me on the day of discovery, you were my savior. When your hand touched mine and not my sister's, it was surreal. Suddenly, I wanted something so badly that I never knew I really desired. You're amazing. You've accomplished so much. You stand up for what you believe is right. But I lie awake at night thinking about you. Sometimes I'm confused. Sometimes I'm proud of you. And often I think you are deeply troubled, perhaps even mentally ill. But mostly, I tend to think the latter.
It's nice that young Tyra is kissing the ass of old Tyra.
Zarpessa says that she has no idea why my friends and I are here at Modelland. It's not like I have a clue either. I know people here see a midget and a whale and a ghost.
Midget? And a whale and a ghost and a freak of nature. Is it a whale? And a ghost? Mean. My friends know it too. Maybe our presence at Modelland is just a big joke or something else. A sacrifice. She paused, glancing up at the room. Her friends visibly shuddered. Zarpessa grinned. Maybe this whole day is only in my dreams and none of you really exist. Her inspiring speech. Still, I'm happy here. I've never felt better. But there's a harsh truth I have to face up to. Ideal beauty is the only accepted and celebrated kind. Take my sister, Miracle. Whenever she walks into a room anywhere, people lose all self-control, laser-focused on making sure she's taken care of, made comfortable, kept happy. And they don't even know her. Tuki paused for a moment, and that is proof within itself that the definition of beauty is universally narrow. While my sister is worshipped, I'm ignored, forgotten, and the quintessential forget-a-girl. We all have a place in life, and for the majority of time, that's all I've been. And I think that's all I'll ever be. CL, thank you for standing up for me earlier, but please allow me to accept my fate. Your crusade is useless, pointless. Perhaps it's what is driving you insane. From one unfortunate-looking girl to one unquestionably ravishing one, Tuki de la Creme. Beside her, Dylan gasped. In the audience, Shiraz and Piper held each other, tears in their eyes. The Centura bindings on their wrists released. Zarpessa, who looked overjoyed, opened her mouth to speak. Oh, everyone's so inspired by the speech she gave. This is like where the music swells and the inspirational part of the movie comes in. Real Dead Poet Society moment. But CL cleared her throat and spoke over her, venom lacing her throat.
They have lobotomized you, she cried, staring straight at Tuki. We've all been brainwashed to think that beauty is this. She pointed to her own face. Or that, she pointed to Chaste. Or that, or that, or that. She pointed to turn to Bibiana, me likey, Bibiana, me likey, and Zarpessa. When in fact, if we reprogram our brainwashed with extra strength bleach minds, it can be that. She jabbed her finger at Shiraz. And that, she motioned to Piper. And this, she grabbed hold of Tuki's face and...
Fat! Dylan screamed.
The class froze. Zarpessa let out a snicker. What? Tukey and CL said at the same time.
Y'all listen to me right now, Dylan yelled, trembling. There may be different types of girls in this room from different countries all over this damn different world, but y'all have one thing in common, and I refuse to stand here and state the obvious.
She gestured to her body.
Y'all can debate unique features and atypical looks all the damn day long, but what in the hell is unique about me? A waist as wide as this damn sphere is round, legs as thick as tree trunks, a butt as big as Boo Big Teak Nation. Oh, ladies, do not waste any more of my precious time with your nonsense word war, because none of it, not a smidgen, nor a drop, not a damn thing pertains to me.
This is her big moment. This is her big moment. Tyra's standing up for the plus-size models out there. This is so disingenuous. It sure is. CL looked enraged.
Dylan, beauty is what we believe it to be. If you would just look in the damn mirror, girl, you'd appreciate...
That's where you're dead wrong, CL.
Dylan's lips were quivering uncontrollably.
You may be right about one thing, that beauty is what we believe it to be, but that's from the neck up, and you know it.
CL shook her head.
Oh, so you're going to give up that easily, coward? You're just as bad as they are. They have to defend your body, to the death if you have to.
Shut up, CL, just shut up. Shut up, CL, just shut the hell up.
Dylan ripped the plus sign off her head and ran to the circle outline on the floor. She frantically jumped up and down until it finally glided open, sucking her out of the classroom sphere. Dylan! Tukey, Piper, and Shiraz yelled, Just go, Dylan. Just go, Why does anyone feel sorry for her? She's so shitty all the time. But Dylan was gone. Guru Matjo pressed a palm over his eyes.
Tukey, your partner has committed acts of insolent yelling, unsavory language, and departing class before being dismissed. But that being said, your arguments, they were the most eloquent speeches I've heard in quite some time. Your words cut so close, got to the root of what we all feel. Well, many of us feel anyway. Yep.
He paused to nervously clear his throat.
Well done, my dear. Tukey, you have won your first war of the words. War of words.
She didn't even argue for the thing she was supposed to argue about. All she did was read a letter. I feel like you would lose debate if you don't even cover the topic. Another super chat from Elizabeth M. CL was rooting for you, Dylan. Thank you. Tukey barely heard Guru Matjo congratulating her. The circle had opened again. Dylan? She cried, rushing toward it, but it was Persimmon. She stalked right up to Guru Matjo.
You let her spout her sickening poems without doing anything about it? She hissed at the guru. How dare you? While we work overtime to reform CL, your lackadaisical attitude is repressed or reprogramming by a fortnight. You know who will have to answer for this.
Guru Matjo turned away, looking guilty but satisfied. Persimmon redressed CL in the gray ugly room jumpsuit and replaced the muzzle on her face.
Class is allowed to, depart, Matjo announced. I'll see you soon, but now I have to go make a special deposit. Yep.
Ew, Chase snickered. I can only imagine what kind of deposit he's talking about. Chase, get your mind out of the gutter. Matjo ignored her and pressed a button under his stool. All the jewels and other metal paraphernalia stuck to the wall crashed to the floor. The likey... What was the point of that? What was the point of the metal? I forgot that. What did that have to do with debate? All the jewels and other metal paraphernalia stuck to the wall crashed to the floor. The Likey sisters rushed to the sparkling pieces, pocketing items Tukey had a feeling weren't theirs. Tukey grabbed her Taouki button and flower brooch before the Likeys could steal those too, then followed Shiraz and Piper to the center of the circle and out of the magnetosphere. Once they were on the ground, they spotted Dylan in the distance, running into the plaid cube balanced on one of its points. They darted off after her. They entered the cube through a door just above the balance point. Dylan was climbing a stepladder up ahead.
Dylan! Shiraz screamed. Why you run? We want to talk to you!
But Dylan didn't answer. The girl scrambled up the ladder after her and entered a hallway that smelled strangely of wet fur. Oh my god, is it happening? As the girls careened down the increasingly narrow hall, a loud hissing sound reverberated off the walls. Dylan, are you in here? Tukey yelled. The noisy hiss ended in a piercing screech. The girls ground to a halt.
What was that?
Piper looked at the others with terrified eyes. Do you think it was Dylan? Tukey whispered. The screeching escalated, growing into a full chorus of growls and hisses. All of a sudden, Shiraz's eyes widened.
I know where we are!
At first, words lit up on the corridor's wall. They looked like they'd been written with ragged claws. Tuki read them silently, her heart sinking to her feet.
Catwalk corridor!
Shiraz screamed. And that was when the first set of claws ripped into Tuki's flesh. What the fuck? Ripped into Tuki's flesh. We are on a cliffhanger. I will say this, we're over halfway. We're over halfway. We're over halfway in the book. We're at page 311, which means that we have 258 pages left. We're getting to Catwalk Corridor. Alright, on that note, I think I should end. I've been reading far too long. My throat's starting to get dry. Thank you, Sam for Metroid. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to the stream. We'll do another one tomorrow, same time. Sound good? We'll find out what happens in Catwalk Corridor. Alright, I'll see you guys around.